Thank you all for being here. I've live streamed but somewhere between 400 and 500 presentations just like this one over the course of 9 years. And when I sat down to do this, I had no idea where to start. I'm like a total noob when it comes to being on stage, and this is actually my 5th ZCon and the first one where I'm doing a presentation like this. So we'll see how it goes. Where do I point this? There? We'll see how it goes. No? Nothing. Okay. So the Zcash Foundation AudioVisual Club, which is what I'm talking about, was created by, well, I'll get into it. So, sorry. Whoa. When I was thinking about where to start telling this story about the ZFAV Club, I thought back to when I started live streaming, and I started live streaming tech events, was at the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. And this one specific talk that I streamed back in 2015 came to mind, and that was Private Transactions in a Public Blockchain, presented by Nate Wilcox on April 28th, 2015. And this picture of me sitting on the floor on the right is actually the same event that you see on the top picture, the one of Nathan. There is a picture of both of us, and me standing behind the camera and Nate presenting. I couldn't find the picture. I know who has it. It was a mutual friend of Nate and mine. If you're watching, I would love to have a copy of that. But this was the same event, and that was 8 years ago. And then as I was looking through my YouTube channel, I discovered that my very AgiLeak was my personal YouTube channel that I was streaming a lot of this stuff on. And the very first video that I live streamed on my personal channel had Paul Pui in the thumbnail, and he was presenting on Bitcoin wallets. And Paul also presented at ZCon this year. So then I was thinking like that would really be the beginning of Zcash Foundation AudioVisual Club. It was me voluntarily live streaming these Bitcoin events, these decentralized technology events, privacy and security and all this stuff that we do here. And then I was working for Electric Coin Company in 2017, and when ZCon 0 was being organized, it was really easy for the foundation to reach out to me and ask if I would live stream their event for them. So this was in June 2018. Josh Cincinnati was the chair or the director of the Zcash Foundation at that time, gave the opening address. I also found a live stream with Josh Cincinnati from the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup that we did in 2018. So, was that 2018? No, it was 2015 that we live streamed Josh Cincinnati. So all of these Zcashers were in front of my camera while I was streaming events just like this, and I was doing most of it myself. And eventually, just last September, I had this idea to create a space and create a club where other people who are interested in audiovisual content creation who are Zcashers could join me, and we could collaborate, and I can learn from all of you, and we can create amazing content, and we can decentralize the work effort that goes into it. I see Guy Fawkes just entered the room. So it was actually, and I want to do a special shout out to Dan, Decentralist Dan, because, yeah, give it up. Not only because he's amazing, but also because it was a conversation that I had with him at ZCon 3 in Vegas that really led me to this idea of creating this club and creating this space for audiovisual content creators in Zcash. So September 27th, 2022, I pitched the AV Club idea to the Zcash Foundation, and they said yes, and it was amazing. And then from there, we launched in January. So several months of setup, brainstorming, figuring out what the club was. When we launched, when we announced it on the 12th of January this year, I still didn't really know what the club was going to be, because it's just me at this point, really, and Dan. And it's a club, so it's about the people in the club, the people that are building the community, the people who are building the content. And so it's for me, it wasn't about what I want the club to be. And in January, it was still unclear to me how it would pan out. So we launched on Free to Z, ZFAV Club on Free to Z, and I was using this as the hub for all of the club information. So if you go there, you can read our club manifesto that I published at the time. The code of conduct is on there, and I'm posting our meetup videos and all that too. We also have a Discord server as the main community gathering center, where we have regular community calls, regular workshops, and Zero Darts actually put an AI in there that you can use for free through Discord to create images, still images. We also have Twitter, Mastodon on zeal.center. You do most of our live streaming on YouTube as well as Free to Z, and we have an Instagram account too. So I'll get into what we publish on all of these platforms later on. I launched all of this when we launched the club back in January, and I use the Zcash community forum a lot too. I have a new topic on there about the Zcash Foundation Audiovisual Club, and you can see all of the work that we've done. I post it there so that I have a solid historical collection of all of it. The first real deliverable that I wanted the community to have, that I wanted the club to have, was the monthly meetups. And this was a real simple thing to just plan for 1 hour every month, where we get together and we talk about not necessarily Zcash, but we talk about audiovisual content creation tools, platforms, and I'll get more into the details of what each meetup was about. The first one was me kind of I basically reached out to my friends who I know from the Zcash community and said, hey, can you join us? And we'll talk about where the audiovisual community in Zcash stands today. This was back in January, and where we could go from there. So I published this first meetup video, and then YouTube closed the YouTube account. They just deleted the channel on the 29th. It was like the day after I think I published the video. And I thought that was hilarious because my own YouTube channel, which is designed the exact same way, had been running for 8 years, and I'd published 300, 400 videos on there without a word from YouTube. So they closed it without any reason, without any explanation, and I complained to them on Twitter, and we got it back up. So that was the first month, and then at this point, a lot of what I was trying to do was to create projects that would maybe motivate or inspire content creators in Zcash to get involved. And the monthly meetup was part of that. The consistency of having something once a month. We turned that into we also have weekly workshops, and we have weekly meetings as well. So we have consistent space held for people who are interested to come and talk to us, to work on things, to hack on things. And that was a really important part of the beginning of the club. One of the projects that I was personally working on to inspire and motivate some content creators is what I call ZCon highlights. There are before ZCon 4, there were about 130 ZCon presentations that are long format presentations just like this. They're all on the Zcash Foundation channel, and I shot most of them personally, but this content is available and can be cut, edited, and turned into a short format video that's so popular now. So that was what I started doing with ZCon 0, and I released, I believe, 8 of them. It's considered low-hanging fruit. I've seen in the forums it's mentioned as that, because the content is there. So if you want to practice using video editing tools or publishing, for example, the content is there. You can download it, you can cut it up, upload it to the different platforms. And it was an exploratory process for me, in publishing especially, because I always did live streaming. I never worried too much about the video descriptions. A lot of times I'm live streaming something I don't understand. We're talking about zero-knowledge proofs here, right? So learning how to properly do the descriptions, all the tags, how to use YouTube, and in the SEO sense, that was really where a lot of my first practice went with the ZCon Highlights project. And I was publishing those on YouTube and on Twitter, and then kind of learned about the popularity of the vertical videos and the shorts and the TikTok-style Instagram Reels, all of this. And then I kind of went back through Zcon videos that I had released, the Zcon highlights, and re-edited them so that they were in this vertical format. Something I learned from that is that short vertical videos are hot. That you don't even need to share the link to a YouTube short. And like, I was posting the horizontal regular videos, the normal aspect ratio videos on Twitter, and I was sharing these links around. When I published the shorts on YouTube, because of the way that the feed works with shorts, I was getting hundreds of views without even telling anyone that I was publishing it. And this is all because of the words in the description, the tags that you use. When people look at YouTube on their phone, they're fed videos that fit the rest of the stuff that they watch. So by making that connection to the short via the description and the tags, this content is being shown to people without me even needing to tell anyone that it's out there. And I thought that was pretty incredible. Part of that process was discovering CapCut, which is awesome software. The free version works really well and I haven't run into too many limitations with it. So Squirrel actually told me about that, and it's great software. It's really easy to use. The barrier to entry is really low. The best thing that I find about it is for short videos, for short vertical videos, it does excellent job with the transcripts, with the transcribing, with the text that you see here. These are both screenshots from Zcon 0, and the most secure Zcash transaction that I've ever made, and then Sean talking about the performance increases that they made with Sapling. So there's another piece of software, some AI called Opus Clip, and that's opus.pro is the website. And this is really cool AI software that you can actually put long format videos into, and it will suggest short clips that you can get from it. It will cut it for you, and then explain to you why it thinks that this is a good clip to have from the video. And I believe it's still free. You can check out the website, and you can even upload an entire day's stream from Zcon 4 and check it out and see what it gives you back. Share that stuff. This is the process that the Zcon highlights took, and it was grueling. It was difficult for me to go through and doing all the research. But now I have a lot of this information. We're sharing it in the Discord, and we hopefully have a wiki where we can condense this information. And now the Zcon highlights should be the low-hanging fruit that's talked about in the forum. Whereas initially, especially if you're not a video editor, it's not really that low-hanging. You know, it's a lot of work, and especially like the publishing practices and things I was talking about. The other project that I was pushing for and trying to use as a motivating project and an inspiration is one that I made several years ago called Zcash Zeitgeist. And this is it's a short, fun video that I did while working at ECC. And I would like to continue that moving forward. The video that I made, it says it's episode 1, and I never made an episode 2. I think this is a really good opportunity for the club and for people in the club to tell their personal privacy story in the context of Zcash. So check out that video, and if it inspires you or reminds you of your personal privacy story or the privacy story and why Zcash is important in your community, then I would like to take those stories and transform it into this universe called Zcash Zeitgeist. I did a Zcash Foundation minor grants proposal for this, and I think it was short by 1 or 2 votes before of getting approved, which is totally fine with me. It was just an idea that we could get some funds to pay to the community that would be doing the writing and the editing and all the work that I was previously doing myself. And so that was not approved, but it gives us the opportunity to now do this on Free2Z, for example, and we can do it as a collaborative process there and do the crowdfunding through Free2Z as well. So I'd like to see that move forward. The top right picture, the ZFAV Club workshop, this was a flyer that Zero Darts designed, and I really like it. It actually came out of another project that we were working on for Zcon 4 that I'll get to in 1 second. And the bottom right picture is the Zcash Zeitgeist poster, and that Zcash coin is the Zcash Zeitgeist logo, which I created as well. So I was working on all of these projects just to kind of discover and motivate and inspire. And it was very clear at the beginning of the AV Club that if we want to build a community, a global community, and connect these international Zcash communities, human languages is the most important thing. This is how we communicate. This is how we collaborate. And this was at the same time that Zcash Brazil was organizing their Zcon Voices event, which was all in Portuguese. Just before Zcon Voices, John actually was playing with some software to be able to do automatic transcriptions and translations of live events. You can do it with any audio, really, and we pipe it through. He was using Google Translate, and you have the transcription show up on one side, and then it does the translation. John was working on this before Zcon Voices, and then we ended up using it there so that the non-Portuguese speaking audience could sort of get a grip on what was happening and what was going on. Then it became pretty clear that we should be doing this with all of our English content, because there's uncountable amounts of communities that can't understand what we're talking about when we're speaking English at Zcons. These 130 videos that we have on the Zcash Foundation channel, they're all in English. Not anymore because Zcon Voices, but the Zcon content is mostly in English, and this is a huge disservice, I think, and it's really hurting Zcash and the growth of Zcash and the communities and the individuals involved. So we were working on this, we were hacking on this in the AV Club, trying to figure out what the best solution for languages were and how we can use this technology, who can use this technology to help share and connect. Then we did a behind-the-scenes retro of Zcon Voices during the third ZFAV meetup, and that was really great. Dan did a walkthrough of how the tech worked, and he and Vito had done the actual live stream. And this was amazing for me to watch because Dan and I were working together for 2.5 months at this point on the AV Club, and I was teaching him how to use OBS, and then we ordered all of the equipment so that he had the same sort of kit, the same sort of gear that I use to live stream that's very portable. I always wanted a film studio in my backpack, was always my thing with ways to get it out to the internet. So Dan goes down to Brazil with all of this equipment and a sort of overview of how OBS works. And let me tell you, live production very rarely goes the way you expect. So I'm thinking that I'm going to be troubleshooting. And I was there with him online, but I wasn't able to go to Brazil. And then he gets down to Brazil, meets Vito, and puts Vito behind the camera. And now we have this team doing something they've never done before without me, who has done it a bunch before, and I'm just online trying to help them through things. It was amazing. It worked really well. And now we have 2 activated, very active members of the ZFAV Club, active members of Zcash, who are applying their skills, they're empowered, and they're amplifying the Zcash message through skills that we're learning together. And that was a really great feeling. So then the 4th ZFAV meetup, we focused on the podcasters in Zcash. And we had Zcash en Español. It was co-hosting with me. Yoda Todd was co-hosting. We had Zcast. Aura and Roosevelt came on. Awesome rock stars right there. They came on, and we had a chance to use our translation tools, this process that we had built, that we had discovered. We had a chance to use that in a multilingual podcast. I do speak Spanish, but it's really rusty. But luckily, we had the English transcription going and the Spanish translation going. So when we were speaking in English, they could understand roughly. We were using Google Translate at the time, so they could understand roughly what was going on. And then we switched the translator so that when they were speaking, it was the Spanish that was being transcribed, and it was being translated into English. It was a really cool demo, and it worked. And it was a live test. I'm all about doing it live. Let's see what breaks, and then we'll figure out how to fix it, and that's how we learn, and that's how we get better. So during this podcast, we had the live translations between 3 languages because, again, Vito was doing translations into Portuguese. This was a really cool experience, and it didn't work perfectly, but something that came out of it was I was also, again, with the Zcon highlights stuff, when it came to live translations, when it came to the process of creating good subtitles, now I had a video that was in 2 different languages, and I had to create good subtitles for it and then translations for it. So now we published the video, and it's got solid English subtitles through the whole thing, solid Spanish subtitles through the whole thing, and solid Portuguese subtitles through the whole thing. And I used CapCut to do this, and I'll be documenting this whole process so the rest of the community can use it as well. We've really done a good job of automating the translation and transcription and this communication of human languages. I'm going to run out of time. So we'll move a little bit forward. But before we do that, the Zcon 4 promo videos that were created by our Russian ambassador, Artkor, he shared the project files with us in the Discord. Rabmar jumped in real quick, and we translated the Russian video into 9 different languages. And then we had the Zcash ambassadors check the translations to make sure they were accurate. And we put those I gave those to Rabmar, and he put them into After Effects with the project files that Artkor had given him. And we had that translated accurately, and we had the translations checked, and released the videos in about 5 days from the point where Artkor released his. And it was all done by the community. It was a community effort. It was shared, and it was pretty amazing. So if you haven't seen that, check out our YouTube page. You can find all of the 9 there, and then the original Russian is on the Pro Zcash YouTube page. So more about Rabmar, my personal hero for Zcon 4. See, during the Zcast podcast where we were doing these different languages, Rabmar, he's an OBS pro, video editing pro, and he saw this and he took it to the next level. He saw that Google wasn't working. We found other software that does it better. We're using SpeechLogger, and he's doing a broadcast of Zcon 4 back out in Spanish with awesome subtitles. It doesn't look like that slide, that picture there. This was from a demo that we were doing, and I was going to change that picture today, but didn't. But his translation broadcast is really, really great, and he's been doing that all week. We did talk shows here, and we did talk shows in Spanish and in English, and he was doing the translation and the rebroadcast of all of that. And then he also designed these promotional graphics that we have. He's been designing promotional graphics for ZecHub, for ZFAV, and these different cards that you see. And all of this, he actually needed to buy a whole bunch of new equipment to do it. And he crowdfunded that through Free2Z, got additional support to close it out and get the extra monitor that he needed with support from Zcash Foundation. So this, to me, was a huge success story that he came into the AV Club because he likes AV stuff. He's a Zcasher. He is immediately volunteering his work to do all of this, and he's doing a great job of it. And then he ended up getting the financing he needs in order to do a better product, to do a better live stream, and he's going to be, now I believe that he is going to be empowered to continue working for Zcash, working for the Zcash community, creating audiovisual content. And ultimately, I would love to see that turn into some sort of grant or bounties or something. But for now, crowdfunding through Free2Z works. It's pretty great. Other projects we did for Zcon 4. The 5th meetup that we did in May was all about Zcon 4. It's my favorite events of the year. Like I said, it's my 5th Zcon, so I wanted to have a chance to give the community the opportunity to ask questions. What are we going to be doing? And we started the planning for the AV Club projects then. Some beautiful brand development came out of this. Ender Arieta came in, and he's a great brand specialist, and he designed the new colors for the logo and the ZFAV banner. That's all of our branding material that's going to be going out over all of our social profiles. It's out there already. I'm going to speed up a bit. We also have stickers here. We have a ZFAV logo sticker that Vito had printed up, and he brought. Zero Darts brought this Feel Zebra man and the zebra shields that you've been seeing around. And that was all, again, that was just decentralized. They saw what was happening, and I had no time to do any of this. So they stepped up and took care of it and helped us out. We had our first Zeal Talk, which is a talk show that we did. That was also here 2 days ago, I guess. And it's a process, it's a live talk show where we have a chance to talk about the type of stuff that we talk about in the hallways here at the conference. I wanted to humanize the people on the stage, and find out what are your hobbies, this sort of stuff. So we did the first Zeal Talk here at ZCon 4. We also did, we filmed a session of podcasts, a series of podcasts yesterday, and hopefully we'll do it again today. We're calling that ZCon Sessions. And we also live streamed some live music by Johnny Zcash yesterday, which is also on the ZFAV channel. There's a lot of emphasis. I put a lot of emphasis on the grantees and the global ambassadors. I'm really trying to support them. The club is trying to support them. And some of the projects that we've been doing that with, Twitter Space with ZecMec, the fourth meetup was co-hosted with Yodata, our Zcash en Español ambassador. The ZCon 4 promo videos, like I said, created by the Russian ambassador. Our sixth meetup was a grants call pilot that I would like to see turned into a regular monthly call where we talk with the grantees and figure out what's working, what doesn't work, how can we help you, how can we support you, and make sure that this is as successful as possible. We had the podcasters, like I mentioned before, the meetup call with the podcasters. We had Joel Valenzuela on a few times, Zcast, Ian Zagstetter, who has created Zec Hub, and then PGP for crypto. Paul Brigner has been very active as well. And then, I've got 3 minutes, okay. And then supporting ZCG recipients with regular feedback. I've been probably giving Skylar too much feedback on Free to Z. I'm sure that he gets DMs from me now, and he's like, oh, Ryan, are you sure this isn't your fault? That's how I feel anyway, and half the time it is my fault. I'm using it wrong. But he's been great. The Free to Z platform and the people building it have been really great, and we've been working a lot with them, trying to. Alpha Day as well, the Alpha Day Zcash dashboard. If you haven't seen it, check that out. If you look for Alpha Day Zcash dashboard, you can find it. And we do regular feedback calls with Mike, who is Alpha Day, the CEO, and he has been really interactive with us and implemented the changes that we suggest. So we have these weekly calls, these weekly meetings and workshops, and it's an opportunity for grantees to talk to us and get feedback from the community that can then make their grant project better. And we do a lot of work with Zec Hub as well. Dismad and Squirrel are both very active, which is excellent. This goes back, so where do we go from here? This is kind of my idea for how we grow the club, building bridges, connecting communities. Now I just partnered with Least Authority, so while the Zcash Foundation AudioVisual Club is funded by the Zcash Foundation, we have a partnership now with Least Authority. I'm technically a Least Authority employee, and that's because I believe that Least Authority in that community, and the zero knowledge proof community that they work with regularly, is very important. And for me, it's almost as important as the Zcash community. So I want to build these bridges, and there we can find more people, more content, more tools, more feedback, more minds to troubleshoot. And then part of that was also the D-Web Camp, which Internet Archive organizes. I went there back in June, did a hands-on workshop called Audiovisual Event Production at Grassroots Media. I want to do more workshops like this, including they have another camp in September in Brazil. And I found out that they did that, and I thought, wow, we have a great Zcash community in Brazil. They're already active in the AV Club. Let's collaborate, work together, and build these bridges. And the next step after that is ZCon 5, which will take it to the next level. So, last 30 seconds, ZFAV Club has regular activities. All of our activities are at 1700 UTC, trying to have some consistency. The last Thursday of each month is the meetup. We have Tuesday hangouts where we kind of talk about regular meeting stuff, Wednesday workshops, and that's where we break things and then try to fix them, and we learn with each other. Then we have a ZFAV wiki on the Zec Hub wiki, and a calendar. And again, thanks to Squirrel and Dismad for their work there. It's really great. It's a part of this partnership. We are the Zeal. Find us at ZFAV Club on all of the platforms. Thank you.
We have quite a few questions, and we don't have time for all of them, but I'll ask at least one. Would you like to see summaries of the conferences on social networks and other platforms?
Yes. Short answer is yes, but if I can take one more minute, this goes back to the ZCon Highlights project. So if you're out there and you are you watching any of these talks on YouTube, any of the talks that are being live streamed, and you think, let's summarize this, let's make a short clip, then use Opus Clip, use CapCut, make these clips, help us share this content. We all would really appreciate it, and hopefully that will bring you into the ZFAV Club. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. So yeah, join us. Thanks. You have another one?
I was just notified we have more time for...
Oh, now I get that awkward double goodbye, okay.
For more questions. So the next one is, are there plans to organize another ZCon Voices, and which countries do you have in mind?
So the ZFAV Club is not actually responsible for ZCon Voices. That was the Zcash Foundation that is doing that, with collaboration with the ambassadors and some of the global communities. I would love to see another ZCon Voices. I would love to see another one soon. And this is actually something that I would be interested in the AV Club having more of the organizational role and helping to relieve Zcash Foundation of that work. Because ZCon 2, for example, was all online, and I was very involved in the whole operation of that because it was the live streaming was my specialty. It was what I was doing for Zcash Foundation. So when they knew they wanted to do an online ZCon, they came to me, we organized the whole thing, it ran perfectly, and that was when we started using Discord as well to create these rooms for the talks. And Discord has been, for AV Club, Discord has been very important and very helpful, and the same is true for the Zcash Global community. So I think between Zcash Global, Zach Hub, ZFAV, we can actually do some pretty awesome events. And I would like to see that happen in an autonomous, organized way.
If someone is interested in collaborating with the AudioVisual Club, what is the easiest way to get started?
That's a really good question, and it's not something that I necessarily thought about at first. Like, I thought if you build it, they will come. And I started making these little projects to get involved, to inspire people. But then I've actually made a post on the forum, and I believe it's still the pinned tweet on the ZFAV Twitter account, and created basically a list of jobs that go into doing the monthly meetup that we do. It's an online community call, basically. And there are, if you break it down, there are a lot of different specialized jobs that go into the process. I was previously doing this all myself. Dan has been huge as the co-host, as the co-organizer of the club. He's been incredibly helpful with that, but we could realistically have a team of 8 to 10 people helping out with everything from operating the live stream to commenting and doing the moderating, helping us with the translations. There's all of these different jobs that you can come and do. If you want to learn how to do any of this, you can break stuff. This is what we love to do. And so don't be afraid of coming in and saying, hey, I want to learn how to do video editing. I have no idea how to do it. I want to learn how to do OBS. I have no idea how to do it. We do. So come and join us on our Tuesday calls. Come and join us on our weekly workshops. And you can actively, in a live production environment, you can learn this software. And the best way to do it is when you have an event and a group of people that are all collaborating on it, and if it fails, then there's no big deal, because that's what we do. We have to break things in order to learn how to use them.
And the last question is, could the AudioVisual Club collaborate with Zcash Media in the future?
Yes, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. The goal of the AV Club is to have a space where all of the audiovisual content creators can collaborate and can learn from each other. I have a lot to learn from Zcash Media, and I would really like it if they would join us.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all.